Go Mustang, the Coach Alexander Show, brought to you by Kim Assad, your real estate broker.
Hello, Mustang Nation. Matt Carnes, Grapevine Booster here for the Week 3 of the Coach Mike Alexander Show. Coach, coming to you here from the wonderful new facility you have here, the Mustang Activity Center. You had a big one Thursday night, moved to 3-0, big win over Justin Northwest. Before we go into a lot of the other stuff, just give us some of your initial takeaways from that game before we get into some of the details on that one.
Well, you know, it was a good win. It's a good program win. You know, Northwest is a very good football team. They're going to make a good run in their 5A D2 schedule they'll play, and that was a good offensive football team as well. You know, that we knew that they were going to test us, and you know, looking at the stats at the end of the game, you know, they had their yards, and but I think we got stops when we needed to, and our offense scored, you know, opportunistically throughout the game, and I you know, overall, you know, anytime you beat a good program like that, it's a positive, and I was real proud of our kids' fight.
Well, that may have easily been one of the most entertaining high school football games ever, especially in the first quarter, when we got our money's worth before the first quarter was ever even done.
There's no doubt. I mean, what did we have? 4 interceptions in the first quarter.
In the first quarter,
you know, between the two teams, and a couple touchdowns, defensive scores. It was, you know, y'all definitely got your money's worth. No doubt.
We did get our money's worth. So that was fun. But before we go into the actual game, let's talk about a few other things going on here with the program. Talk about what you and the seniors got to do the morning after the game.
Yeah, so, you know, me and Coach Humphreys had sat down with Mr. Denning back during the summer, and we approached Mr. Denning and said, would there be a possibility if we could get a group of the football team, didn't know at the time who it was going to be, but just, you know, a good number of kids, and take them to go support the girls' golf program. Coach Humphreys, you know, he floated that out to me initially, and I loved it, jumped on the idea. Mr. Denning got on board and made it happen. And so I think it was a surprise. I don't think the girls knew we were coming. And so at least based on the reaction we got when they rounded, when they putted out on 6 and we were cheering for them, then they walked up to 7 over there at Squaw Valley. But it was fun, you know. I think a lot of our football players, that was the first golf tournament they'd ever been to, so they got to experience a little bit of you know, what our student athletes that are on the golf team go through, and just how hard it is. And so it was fun, you know. We had a good time.
Well, there's probably not a whole lot of high school teams that get to go out and support their girls' golf team in a manner like that.
There's no doubt. So thank you, Mr. Denning, for making that happen. Thank you, Coach Humphreys, for the invite, and we had a blast.
What a great deal. We had the big second annual dove hunt fundraiser over the weekend. Had a lot of fun out there with about 50 guys. And
yeah. I'm pretty sure most of us need to stick with this football thing, and you know, don't make dove hunting a career. But goodness gracious, we had a good time. My shoulder's pretty sore right now, Matt.
I will be in the training room when we're done here. I've got a very sore shoulder, but I talked to the trainers already, and they're ready for me, so we're good there. Also had a big announcement last week. Jack Ertz.
Yeah, you
got
know,
to sign his letter.
That was exciting. You know, Jack has known for a while, I think, that Columbia was where he wanted to be, and man, the kid just been working, and you know, I don't know how many people know this, but he put in a lot of time also prepping for his SAT test, and he got his score up, and you know, he was already qualified, but he moved into a higher tier for him, which made him a little bit more attractive to him, and they made him an offer that he loved, and he went with it, and not going to look back. So we're excited.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens when his parents find out how far away that is. He's out of driving distance.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
You're
that's
not
a good
driving.
ways away.
You are not driving to check on him on the weekend.
No.
So, but that's good. Congratulations, Jack. Good job on that. Before we go into this week's game or last week's game, let's talk about the freshman and JV teams.
Yeah. You know, those guys, you know, been doing great. You know, with their in their individual teams. We have 4 different teams, so we have two freshmen and 2 JVs, and you know, overall collectively, I think as a program we're 12-1-1. We've lost a JV football game. We've tied a freshman game. You know, other than that, we won them all, and so real proud of just job that those guys have done, especially the freshmen. When you think about it, you know, they're coming from 3 middle schools,
Right.
don't even know each other a whole lot, and we get them here and we teach them as fast as we can, put them in position, hope we don't miss on a position. But, you know, they're gelling, and I told them early on, and I think I said this at the parent meeting or the barbecue kickoff, the teams that become close and start caring about each other the quickest are the teams that are going to have success. And it hadn't taken our freshmen long. They care about each other. Our JV cares about each other. They want to play hard for each other. And so, you know, it's an honor to get to coach these guys. I love the job I have. Wouldn't trade it for anything.
Well, of course, I've been getting to watch the JV games, and they have looked really impressive the last 2 weeks.
They really have.
So before we move into the actual game, also, let's talk about Breakfast of Champions, because a lot of what we're going to see from the highlights here in a little while, I think reflect back to what's going through the program with this Breakfast of Champions.
Right.
I don't know how many high school football teams do what Grapevine does.
You know, I don't know. I know that I wouldn't trade it for anything. You know, it's 30 minutes a week. We bring in a speaker from outside that doesn't have a lot of affiliation with our program, and I don't give them any instruction on what to talk about. I'll let them, you know, be moved in however they feel like they want to speak, and it's always so appropriate. And you know, this last week, you know, the message we got about, you know, being a high character young man and doing right, and then being a professional about everything that you do. I mean, that's beyond the game, right? I mean, that goes beyond the game. These are life lessons that the boys are going to take, you know, into the classroom and into their college years and into their professional life and their family life down the road. And that's the biggest thing as a football coach. I mean, we want to win games, there's no doubt. You know, we've said it before, the coach show's a lot better when you win. But bigger than that, I mean, we need these guys. We want our boys to be great husbands and fathers and employees someday, and that's what Breakfast with Champions is all about.
Well, it's interesting because the message week after week speaks not only to the players and where they are as a football player on the team, but it also speaks to the dads.
No doubt. You know, I think I said that this week. It's as soon as the message concluded, you know, I mean, because it spoke to me, you know, as a husband and a father and a dad and a coach and an employee, and so, man, it's rich.
Well, 2 weeks ago, you had Aiken Adele, former Cowboy and Jacksonville Jaguar, talking about sacrifice and what it took for him to become the professional he was, and what these guys are having to sacrifice. And you see a lot of that with these players. And then, of course, what Drew brought this past week. You see it on the field, and we're going to see some highlights in a minute where some guys actually stepped up and made the kind of plays with the kind of character you expect.
Well, you know, Matt, I don't know, many people know this, but we don't award offensive MVPs and defensive MVPs and so forth as our team awards each week. We choose our 6 DNA traits, and we find guys that throughout the course of the game or week exuded those the most. And so every week we're looking for a guy to recognize that had a great attitude and brought the energy with his attitude. We're looking for guys that compete hard and can put setbacks in the rearview mirror and move forward. We're looking for guys that value others above themselves and show out our family DNA. We're looking for guys that are disciplined, do what has to be done as well as it can be done, and doing it that way all the time is how we define it. You know, and so just so on and so forth. So we're looking for all these guys, and we're not talking about who's the fastest, who has the most yards receiving. Sometimes it works out that way, but a lot of times it doesn't. And I think when we turn the highlights on here in a second, you're going to see some guys that will recognize on our DNA traits that may not have had some of the best stats.
Well, you're talking about the book the team is reading as well, and how the really, really elite people do ordinary things better than everybody else.
That's right.
Well, I think your game prep actually is part of that because of how you're going through the Breakfast of Champions and all that stuff. So I think that's another area where it's the fruits are being noticed on that. So as we move into the actual game notes, like we said earlier, it was as entertaining a high school football game as you could possibly hope for. And in the first quarter, Cade threw the 2 interceptions that didn't quite go as planned after the pick was done. I promise you those 2 guys thought they had a pick 6.
Surely they did. You know, you never want to throw a pick, obviously, but if it happens, you know, you hope that your players that are on the field love each other enough to not be, you know, we talked about this morning, not worry about, you know, I didn't get the ball thrown to me, or the quarterback shouldn't have done this or that, and should have just gone and, you know, just put their nose down and go make a play. And what we just saw in the video right there was Seth Tejada, number one, and then Roschon, you know, both doing the same thing on back-to-back interceptions. You know, and just for the record, Roschon, he got our Compete Award this year, not just for the runs that he made, but for his effort on running down that kid after the interception. And then Seth Tejada got our Family Award because he wasn't dwelling on, you know, why didn't I get the ball? He just saw it what needs to be done and went and gave of himself and, you know, gave the defense a chance. And that's all we can ask for.
Well, it was interesting to see that play from Seth Tejada, because you could see the state high school sprinting speed when he closed the gap on that guy at about the 25-yard line.
Right.
But, you know, you actually talked about Roschon when we first talked, right after you got announced as a Grapevine Mustangs head coach. One of the first things you talked about was how you were so excited about Roschon as being one of the best running backs in the area, and of course David Clayton being one of the best receivers. You were really excited then, and here, you know, 2 years later, they're showing how accurate you were with that.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that's coached Roschon for any amount of time knows, and you can see it. You know, it's something that, you know, some running backs have it and some don't have it. Well, he's got it. You know, and when he brings it, defenses got to look out because he's tough to tackle.
Well, we'll see some of that in a minute, but let's get to the highlight of the night here. Tim Drysdale kind of stole the show with immediately after one of the interceptions by Northwest, which, by the way, Cade Rhodes did a phenomenal job of not letting that affect him, but Tim Drysdale with almost three pick sixes.
Yes, I mean, Tim got our discipline award this week, not for his fantastic, you know, interceptions and pick sixes, but for just being where he was supposed to be. You know, in all these interceptions, he is covering the appropriate area. He's where he's supposed to be, and you know, and good things happen to you defensively when you're doing those things. Mason Shimkus, you know, he got our fight award for causing these interceptions for Tim, or Lee, you know, tipping the ball from the quarterback. And so, I mean, it all plays hand in hand. This is another one we see Mason coming around, strips the quarterback. Tim's the beneficiary of it. Man, we wanted him to get in. You know, one more yard. I don't even know what you call that. Is that a hat trick?
I guess it's a hat trick.
Who's ever heard of 3 pick sixes? I don't know, but
well, it was not only that, but if you look at the number of tackles he had,
11 tackle, 11.
It was unbelievable.
Tim had a fantastic night, and you know, I'm so proud of Tim because the young man, you know, had such a great off season, and when you see seniors that have put in the time, and it's now paying off for them, because, you know, everybody develops at different rates, all kids. And some of the kids that we have in our program that are, you know, freshmen or sophomores or even juniors might be wondering, when is it going to be my time? Well, for Tim, it was, you know, played through his junior year as a role player, and now his time's right now, and he's making the most of it, and he's playing at a high level.
Well, it was impressive. And while we're talking about Tim Drysdale, Mustang Nation, let's lift him up a little bit here. He's one of the Defensive Players of the Week this week on the Dallas Morning News Defensive Player of the Week. Go to sportsday.dallasnews.com and vote for Tim as Defensive Player of the Week. He's very close. I think last time I checked, he was second on the votes. So let's all go out and give him the votes he deserves after that performance, because it was nonstop. The 3 picks, like you say, were easy to see and impressive, but man, the whole night long he was great.
Had a great game.
But we scored 56 points. Of course, Tim has a lot of those. But the offense was clicking all night long. Here's the quick touchdown after that one pick.
Well, the offense got started off really quick and executed really well the first drive, and Roschon capped it off with that short touchdown run. And then, you know, at this point, it's still it's a 14-7 game before Roschon goes on a 62-yarder. And he just kind of put the guys on his back right there and just said, you know,
That's
no, you're
unbelievable.
not going to tackle me on this play. And I think we counted up here. There were 6 people that had opportunity to get him on the ground right there. And then we had something negative happen here. I can't remember exactly what it was right before this run, but 28-7, getting close right there before halftime. And Roschon, like I said, once again, he just turns on the jets, and when he wants to do it, he's something special to watch. This play right here, this touchdown to Jack Ertz, is kind of what we were talking about last week, in the sense of, we're getting more versatile with our tight end game. We put him as a tight end right here, and he gets on the safeties in a hurry, from that tight end position, which, people know when we get a tight end in the game, we're maybe more susceptible to run the football. But if those safeties start getting too close, we're going to get over top of them. And then David Clayton isolated on the goal line play right here. This is after Tim's interception down to the 1. David's hard to cover with all that space. We get him isolated, and people are going to give him that much space. We're going to throw it to him. Speaking of David, he's also hard to tackle in the open field. This is David just being who he is, man. He's a competitor. He doesn't like to get tackled. He's tough. I'm glad he's on our team. Promise you that.
Absolutely. And here's Roschon, of course, with another touchdown to cap it off after David set him up for that one.
Yes, sir.
But we're going to see one more highlight here. Of course, somebody who's near and dear to you. Austin had a big drive to close the game out.
Yeah, it was fun to get to put a lot of our reserves in, right there in the fourth quarter. We had a lot of backup offensive linemen in the game right there, working their tail off, for him, blocking, and it was good. It was good to see our kids celebrate a win. Anytime you can finish the fourth quarter with guys on the field that didn't start the game and you're winning, that's a good thing. And because these guys practice hard all week long, just like the starters do. And we want a lot of guys to play. Some weeks it lends itself to letting them do that. Some weeks it doesn't. But when we can, we're going to put our guys in and let them finish games out.
Well, one of the things that was interesting and impressive as that final drive concluded for the last touchdown was how well Austin and the offense kept the clock moving. Mm-hmm. They had several opportunities where it could have been third down and off to one of your least favorite things, which is punting the ball or going for it on fourth, but they kept that ball moving. He ate a lot of clock.
Well, I want to say I'm really proud of our offensive staff and how they've practiced our guys. It's when Austin's in at quarterback, he knows who his receivers are. They practice it this way. And, we got in that third and medium situation, and we called quick game to the 3 receiver side, and he knew he had Jack Ertz in the flat, and, he made a good read and got the ball out. And, that's what you want from your backup quarterback. You want him to enter the game, give a little bit of a change up to what's typically happening, and then be able to execute on third down when it happens. And so we were proud. I think he might have ended up with some pretty good numbers running the football, and that might be the backup quarterback's role for us right now.
Well, there's 2 things that coaches talk about a lot: YAC, either yards after catch or yards after contact. Mm-hmm. And based on those highlights we saw here from that game, there was a lot of time, and even David had one earlier in the game where he got on a screen pass. He got about 7 yards by just pushing the guys back and put you in a third and short or fourth and short, where you were able to get the first down and keep the drive moving. But he got hit immediately and still got a lot of yards.
Matt, I love our kids. I love their fight. I love the culture in our locker room. Our kids don't expect to lose ever, and they play like that, and they play fast, and they play physical, and are they perfect? Well, heck no, but none of us are. But they play the game the way it's meant to be played, and I think they're fun to watch, and I'm just proud to be their coach.
Well, it was fun, and I got to go back to the defense one more time, because every single time it seemed like they tried to run the ball up the middle or get anywhere. It wasn't 1 or 2 white jerseys. It was a load of them, and they just had nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's fun to coach defense at Grapevine. We have kids that want to be over there, and they want to be good, and they're coachable. And our D line's probably the smallest in the district, but you know, I think they're as tough as anybody. And so, man, I was proud of them. Like I said, they're fun to watch.
So, any dialogue between Tim and Colby in the locker room this week? I got one, you got two.
Man, Tim's so humble. I came up to him on Friday and I said, "Hey, don't forget, stay humble, stay hungry." And he goes, "Oh, Coach, I'm humble. I don't like this at all. I don't like all this attention."
That's funny.
I don't think we're gonna have a problem with that.
That's impressive. But you have a lot of kids like that who just want to do their job. That's impressive.
Yes, sir.
So we've got off week this week, and then we move to district. What are we looking for in the off week, and then as we get ready to head to district?
Hammer the fundamentals, get healthy, handle academics. Those are the biggest things. You know, we're not going to get into our district opponents very much this week. We're just going to get better at what we do. Get healthy. We got to get some guys that have been playing a little bit banged up. You wouldn't know it by looking at them, but we're going to get healthy, and then we got to hammer academics. We got grades coming out a week from this Friday. We need 100% eligibility, and so it's a good time, you know, to give the kids off the afternoon and let them go get in the tutorial sessions and have no excuses.
Well, good. Well, we'll have an off week, and we'll be ready to come back and see some action up at Carrollton Creekview, correct?
Yes, sir.
On a week from Friday. So that's the week 3 of the Coach Alexander Show. Congratulations again on going 3-0. Enjoy the week off, and we will see you in a couple weeks.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Go Mustang! The Coach Alexander Show, brought to you by Kim Assad, your real estate broker.